Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Calgary International Reserves. So this is obviously played in Calgary, Canada, and I am from BC, Vancouver. So I flew today all the way from Vancouver to Calgary to play this tournament. so, first round, um, my rating is around like 1600, and then my opponent's rating is like 2200. So we have a really big difference rating gap, but I destroyed my opponent in 20 moves. So let's see how I did it. So the game started with a pretty normal French defense. My opponent, Maxime, opted for a classical variation. So this is really like the theory here. So pawn attacks the knight, knight drops back, f4 supporting e5, c5, so fighting for the center. So this is all like my prep, and then like this is all theory, played like millions of times before. And then knight c6, challenging the center, bishops come out, defending a6. So this is to prevent the knight from further landing on d6 and also the bishop. And then further, I want to play b5 or b4 if white decides to castle along. All right, so queen up, b5. So obviously white cannot castle along because I'm already launching an attack. All right, so he decides to play a3, and now, okay, now he runs into my prep because I prepared this line, this very cool thing I found, which is g5. Right, so this f4 pawn is really strong. It's defending e5. G5 is kind of like a really weird move, so it can be taken in both ways. So this is like a sacrifice. And let me just mention here. So if take with the pawn, right, then I take. So opponent cannot take with the knight because then this pawn will be hanging. So I can take with either knight, and then I'll be perfectly good here. Like this pawn structure is pretty bad for him. And then I have auto counterplay. Like my pieces are really active. So if pawn takes, and he will take with the bishop, then knight, then queen takes. Then I'll play queen a5. So doing this pin thingy, right? And also there's a pin along this this file. So if he just plays like a random move, then I'll play b4. He cannot take because the rook will be hanging. If he moves the knight, then check. Then he has to move back and then win this pawn. Right. So this is kind of my prep. So in this position, he has to play b4, stopping me from playing b4 on my own. Then I have to drop my queen back all the way to c7, attacking this pawn. And this knight will be pretty hanging. So notice that I just play queen a5 to bait this move. So the knight will be weak in the future, right? Then I play bishop g7. So this pawn will be won eventually, and then these double pawns are really bad for white. So my opponent decided to play knight g5 after like what 15 minutes of thinking. And so this is also my prep. So take. So my prep ended right here because I was like, yeah. I don't know what to do. I can either go bishop here, chasing the queen out, or I saw this funny tactic, which is if I can take this pawn. So basically I just calculate in this position. If I take, obviously cannot take with the pawn because knight hangs, and like I'm in no trouble. So queen takes, and I get this fork, right? So can I win back my material? Then I thought, then I calculated this line. So he can take the pawn, right? Intermediate move. Gotham chess will be very happy. And like I have to take this the queen because I just lost the pawn, right? So he can take the queen, and these pawns are really bad. So, and at the end of the sequence, I'll be down like 2 pawns for absolutely nothing, right? So I was like, yeah, let's not sacrifice the knight that early. So I just basically just played like normal moves. Bishop c5, he goes back. So he has to go back to d2 The reason is that if you go back to like, let's say d1, I can just sack the knight, right? He takes, and then this knight will be won back. So he played queen d2, right? And then I increased the pressure on this diagonal. So potentially I'm going to play bishop e3 and then hitting the pawn and the knight in the future. So he has like a lot of dark square weaknesses after he moved his pawn to f4 and losing his dark square bishop. And here I calculated that he cannot take, like, sack the knight for 3 pawns. So this is the double attack on the rook and the pawn. The reason why is that he can check, I move, he check again, then I move, and then he just runs out of moves, basically. He can long castle, getting the rook, but then I can just play like normal moves, and then I'll just manually castle eventually, and then the sacrifice will be pretty useless. Like, these pawns seems pretty daunting, but I don't think they do anything. Also, his king is kind of weak and can push b4 eventually with all the pieces over here. So he didn't go for that. So instead, he played queen d2. So I calculated this in advance too. My plan was to play h6, right? If he goes back, then of course bishop e3 just is really good for black, because if you play something else, then like I can play d4. This bishop's never taken again. My bishop's open, right? I have this open file for the rook, right? Black is doing really well here. So then I forgot the fact that, like, I didn't forget but the fact that he can play queen h5, but the fact that after I move my queen, this pawn will be hanging due to this pin on this diagonal, because I cannot take this knight, right? So after, for example, check, right? This is what, so I calculated this line. So he can block, then I can take this pawn, but then he can just take this pawn, attacking my queen, also threatening this fork. I cannot take back because I'm pinned. Right, so I was like, oh damn, I just gave the game away. And I was really mad at this point because I missed like a really simple tactic. So I spent like 30 minutes at this position. I was thinking different things. So I was thinking taking knight, giving up the rook. Then does this work? Like, the queen is really far away. Does this work? And then can check. Maybe I can do like weird stuff. There are tactics, you know. Can I hit the queen? Can I do something? But this line just doesn't work because I just give up too much material already. And then check, like, this just doesn't do anything because my pawn is always hanging. So I decided to, okay, I'll just go for a draw here. I was like, yeah, he can just take my pawn. And then maybe there's some perpetual, right? And then, like, I fully expected for him to take this pawn because it's just, like, obviously free. But after the game, he told me that he didn't want to go into like this line because then I'll get this pawn, and then rook pin doesn't really do anything because I can get this pawn as well, and then the knight's always pinned. So, like, I was like, you don't have to take the pawn right away. You can hit the rook first, right? Rook moves, like, let's say g8, then take, because then after knight moves, the queen can see the pawn, right? So check, block. Like, I can normally take the pawn. I was like, yeah, why didn't you do it? And then he was like, I don't know. Well, like, in this position, like, of course, like, here's like the pawn's hanging, but let's say block with something else, or just like move it out of the way or something, right? Check. Like, he just moved out of the way. Like, I can never take this pawn because the queen has a vision on it. So I was like, yeah. So he missed this idea of like playing a knight, and then so the queen can see the pawn. So luckily he missed that. Then so he dropped his knight back. Like, I was pretty surprised by this because I can now just check. King moves, queen goes in. So the king is basically stalemate. Like, the king has no moves. Like, he can't really move anything. His dark sword is so weak. Like, the knights, like the bishops, like, they don't do anything. And he played 92. That's his like only move, I think, because if it doesn't do anything, I'll just march through. I'll just push the pawn all the way up, and then just win the game really easily. So he dropped his knight back. Then I spent a lot of time in this position too. I had three options. I can first sack the pawn. I can also fianchetto the bishop. I can also play the knight here and then go for mate on d2. So I didn't go for either of those options because I saw that like I can sack and then open up a lot of files, but he's just faster. Like he can take, and then if I just play like normal, he will just trade queens with me, and then I'm just down like 2 pawns, and then with no advantage. Same thing with bishop b7. It's way too slow. Like I can never stop him from trading queens with me. So instead, I played knight here. So my plan was that if he plays this, right, I can either just like play this directly, so that he doesn't have time to trade queen because I just checkmate him. And also I thought of this really cool line. I think this just wins on the spot because knight takes b2 is checkmate, and he cannot take because check, and his only move is this, and then again bishop delivers mate. So queen and bishop, really powerful. So I played this, and then so basically he cannot just play knight here, trading with me. So that's what I'm trying to prevent him from doing. Instead, he dropped his knight back, and then I was like, yeah, dang, this guy's good. Because now if I play knight e4, threatening mate again, he can just take, and then even though my pawn controls this square, he can just play queen here and then just trade queens like this. And I can drop the queens back, but I have no attack anymore, and then this pawn is kind of goofy. So that's exactly what I did. I was expecting like, oh yeah, boring draw. Like, even though after this, you know, after trading the queens, and then bishop here, I have the bishop pair. His rook is dumb. The pawns are dumb. I'm down a pawn, but let's just hold this end game, down a pawn. But he shocked me by playing knight b3. Like, that's not necessary though. Because this sequence, I played a5. I want to trace this knight away. If you trade the queens right now, it's way too late because I can play here. The knight cannot go because it's mate. So he has to take my queen. Take. The knight's on attack. If the knight moves, then there's just a clean fork, and I'm just up a rook, like clean up a rook, right? So he just blundered, like by playing knight b3. Like there's no like explanation to that. And then next he played h4, stopping me from playing a4. So if I play that, then rook, and then just hit the queen. But he just blundered again because I can just play knight g3, right? He cannot take because this is mate. And he basically this is just a clean fork. And if he just plays anything, then take, and I'm just clean up a rook again. So I played knight g3, and he resigned on the spot. So after 3 hours, so this game lasted 3 hours. After 3 hours of struggle, I finally defeated my highest rated opponent yet. So I'm 1600, he's like 2200, and I defeated him in 21 moves. So game stop here. So in 21 moves. So yeah, this is a pretty big victory for me because he's that high rated, and then beat him so fast. But also I made so many mistakes as well. I haven't checked with the computer, so let me do it right now. I might be surprised how many blunders I made, or how many mistakes we made together. Let's see. Oh, no way. Yo, what? Wait, what? Wait, I don't think you can see this whole screen here, but my accuracy is 95.2. Like that's amazing. Okay, so I don't know if you can see this, but there's no colored. Okay, I'll show you the whole games. All right, so like the colors on the chessboard. Right, so here. Okay, all book moves, all book moves. Yes, all book moves. B5, all book moves. Okay, G5, like the cool move I found. And knight takes. Okay, great move. Okay, knight takes. The best move. Bishop hits the queen, best move. Queen b6, best move. Yo, h6. Okay, I didn't really expect h6 to be the best move because like queen h5 and then he can do stuff over here. So I didn't see that. Like I didn't expect h6 to be the best move. But okay, queen h5 is apparently a mistake by him. I don't know why. Okay. Okay, well, rook f8. Well, I didn't see anything over here. Okay, like he plays this. What should I play? Computer's thinking. Wow, this is a really hard position. Like the engine's really struggling. What is going on? Okay, well, the engine just keeps thinking on after king d1. So let's just continue. So rook f8 apparently not the best move, but I still have the advantage. This is minus 0.37. Can I turn on the bar over there? So you guys can see the evaluation bar. If that's possible, or actually I won't do it. I don't know how to. If you know how to turn the evaluation bar here on chess.com, then please tell me. But anyways, so this is like minus after knight here. Yeah, I thought like this is the best move. Yeah. After here, it's minus 1.6, so it's pretty big advantage for me, even though I'm down a pawn. Yeah, bishop check, best move. Queen here, really good move. Okay, okay. Well, yeah, I didn't want to go for that. It looked pretty risky for me. Okay, knight e4, best move. Wow. So actually, wait, what if he just takes? Like, okay, well, computer's still thinking, so I think it's my internet connection. But yeah, after this, a5, best move. Here, yeah, knight g3, I think just loses because like this, and the position is already -7. Okay, so he just made several big mistakes. I didn't really do anything too big. I don't know, like I don't understand why rook f8 is bad, but yeah, that was a pretty high accuracy game on my part, so I'm pretty happy about that. Okay, all right. Thank you guys for watching this video. Hopefully, I will see you guys in round 2 recap. Bye bye.